Holy Gospel according to Matthew, the 11th chapter. Now, when Jesus had finished instructing his 12 disciples, he went on from there to teach and proclaim his message in their cities. When John heard in prison what the Messiah was doing, he sent word by his disciples and said to him, "Are you the one who is to come, or are we to wait for another?" Jesus answered them, "Go and tell John what you see and hear. The blind receive their sight, the lame walk, those with the skin disease are cleansed, the deaf hear, the dead are raised, and the poor have good news brought to them. And blessed is anyone who takes no offense at me." As they went away, Jesus began to speak to the crowds about John. "What did you go out into the wilderness to look at? A reed shaken by the wind? What then did you go out to see? Someone dressed in soft robes? Look, those who wear soft robes are in royal palaces. What then did you go out to see? A prophet? Yes, I tell you, and more than a prophet. This is the one about whom it is written, 'See, I am sending my messenger ahead of you, who will prepare your way before you.' Truly, I tell you, among those born of women, no one has arisen greater than John the Baptist. Yet the least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he." This is the gospel of the Lord. Please be seated. A number of times a week, I find myself sitting on people's couches in living rooms, or bedside in care centers, or on an old wooden chair at the kitchen table. I'm called to bring the more mature saints among us communion and prayer, and a deeper connection to all of you sitting here this morning. And I may do a little bit of that, but more often than not, the ministry and the service and the blessings are not from me, but directed toward me. Those holy visits are really more for my benefit than theirs. As I listen to stories from these saints' lives, so much happens over 70, 80, 90 years of life. Throughout those stories, the constant refrain of the steadfast love and presence of God is a witness to me. These people remain faithful even when things are difficult, even when it would be easier and make much more sense to turn away. They show me what trusting God looks like, even when all hope seems lost. And believe me, I desperately need that witness. Because my faith looks a whole lot like John the Baptist. And not the John the Baptist we like to hear about preparing the way in the wilderness. Not the John the Baptist surviving on locusts and wild honey and this passion for the Creator. Not the John the Baptist full of exuberant hope, but the one we meet today. The one captured and bound in prison, the one who will never see the light of day again, the one whose faith doubts, whose joy is gone, and whose hope is lost. And who asked Jesus the question, "Are you the one who is to come, or are we to wait for another?" Behind that one simple question are a million more. Are you the one I have spent my whole life pointing toward? Or have I wasted my time on yet another broken promise? Were all those hours that I spent in the wilderness a mistake? Has my whole life been for nothing? Can I truly put my hope in you? Are you even listening? God, are you even listening? Now, I don't know know about you, but those questions echo my own. You know that sentiment, let your faith be bigger than your fear? Well, my fear is that it's not. That indeed my faith shrinks in fear. Because if we look around, we may not be in literal chains, as our dear John was, but we are bound just the same, in big ways and in small ones, by systems of oppression that give favor to those with the right income, the right skin color, the right gender, and that exploit, kidnap, or murder those who aren't right. We're bound by circumstances that drain our joy and our passion from our lives and exhaust and overwhelm us. And we hold ourselves captive with our desire to please, our inability to make decisions, the critical voice that never quiets. You insert your own chains in place of mine. Add all this together, and we too cry out like John the Baptist, has this all been for nothing? Can I truly put my hope in you? Are you even listening? And some days, this is when I stop. With those questions lingering, I fill my time and my space with noise and with busyness, with addictions and complaining. Yet even in those times, when I cannot look beyond myself, Jesus speaks. For Jesus didn't, as another preacher said, see John's crumbling hope as a failure. He names it as part of what makes John faithful. Now, this might just be a pastoral word for us, she writes. Hope that trembles is still hope. Even in doubt, John is still a prophet. Even in fear, he is still beloved. When our own lives are full of fear and chains and things that hold us bound, when all we can do is respond with questions and doubts and uncertainty, know this. 1, you are in good company, for even the fiery prophets felt the same. And 2, know deep in your soul that you are loved. Now that just might be all you can or need to hear today. For you, your sermon ends here. Lucky you. But there are other days. Sometimes you can look a little bit further when you can hear what else Jesus says to John. The Spirit lets hope shine brighter than fear. The Spirit lets hope shine brighter than fear. Because Jesus did answer John's question. He didn't answer him directly. He didn't give him platitudes or tell him that all will be well. Indeed, the story ends in death for both John and Jesus. But what Jesus did do was to tell him to look around. That even when you're locked in a cell, even when the desert is dry and lifeless, even when all hope seems lost, there is evidence that God's heart is breaking into this world. For I'm about to do a new thing, God says. When those who are blind receive their sight, when those who cannot walk, walk. When those who have nothing have good news proclaimed to them, those are the places where hope wins and fear quiets. Advent does not require us to manufacture hope, a preacher writes. Instead, it invites us to bring our emptied hope to Jesus, to ask the hard questions and to listen again for signs of God's nearness. That's your assignment for this second week of Advent, to listen again for God's nearness. And all this requires of you is to pay attention to the world, to the lives around you, and to the Spirit. Do you see fear? Yeah. But in the midst of fear, where do you see action? Do you see chains? Yes. But in the midst of chains, where do you see transformation? Despair? Sometimes. But in the midst of despair, where do you see love? I'm just guessing. But I would imagine once you start looking, the inbreaking of God into this world happens more often than you'd expect. And I'm just guessing, but once you see God, you can't unsee God. And for a moment, only for a moment, your Spirit-infused faith is going to be way bigger than your fear.